we're in hiring mode right now, right?
Yeah.
So
Let's dive into it.
can you touch on that of because as a business owner, you see that a bad hire just destroys momentum, culture. It just costs. Yeah, financially there's the impact, but it's everything else that's probably even more impactful on slowing your business down, and then, separating from that employment and then going to find someone else.
Yeah.
What are some tips you have there around finding and hiring the right person?
Yeah. So to put a specific statistic to that, Spencer, it costs on average 1 to 3x that person's annual salary if you mishire them. So if anybody's like, why do I need to learn about hiring? Whatever person you're about to hire, take that salary, multiply it by 3. That's how much money is on the line. And if you get it wrong, you've taken that money and you flushed it down the toilet. Yeah. That's why it matters, right? So the short answer, yes, there is a simple and clear set of steps when it comes to hiring A players. And I have resources for people. If they need that, reach out to me and my team. We can do the whole thing. But the short answer is the first step comes to, do you know exactly what an A player in this role looks like? Because what most early agency owners do is they're like, I need this person. I needed this person 3 months ago, but now I really need this person. So I'm going to drop a post on Facebook and I'm going to hire the very first person that says yes, because they're hiring from a place of urgency and they're hiring from a place of scarcity. And so what they're doing is they're looking for the first competent person they find, and then they're trying to jam them into a loosely defined role within their company. Versus the first step before you go on Facebook and post it is define the role. What does an A player look like? Before I've talked to any candidates or met with anyone, what does this hypothetical A player look like? And what that does is very similar to like mapping out an ideal client avatar. Now you know who to talk to. So when you go and build your job description, you're writing a sales letter to your ideal candidate. When you do interview questions, you're creating questions that will specifically filter for, is this person my ideal candidate? So the better you can get to know that person, I call the tool the job scorecard, and you build out the job scorecard before talking to anyone. Now hiring isn't a process of like luck, of like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to grab someone and I'm going to hope that they fit. It's I'm going to define the role, and then I'm going to critically filter out anyone who is not the right fit. So I'm only left looking at which of these great fit people is the best fit. And that's how you find the A player.
Yeah, I love that. And that's something you kind of talked to us about, I think, when we first met. And I was like, oh, I need this help. And yeah, it's so valuable. We've been fortunate with good hires. We've had some bad hires, and it's interesting. I always thought a bad hire would be someone who not a bad person, but just like either they're lazy or they're incompetent or all these things. Sure. And now as a business owner, like you realize that's not true. They could be amazing people, super talented, highly, like very intelligent, and still could be a bad fit because of the role, right? And you just nailed it. You must define that role of what an A player looks like in that role, because trying to jam them in there isn't going to work. And that just creates frustration all around, and it's not going to end well. So.
Yeah, 100%. You're only going to end up firing that person. It's going to cost you a lot of money, and then you're exactly back where you started.
Yeah, and sometimes even behind.
Sometimes even worse. Yeah. And I'll share one more thing, Spencer, on this topic of hiring, which is that most people, even if they do really pour in the energy and time to get the hire right, they stop there. They're like, ooh, did it. Got the person in the role. Toss them in the deep end because I needed you 3 months ago. And that is the biggest cautionary tale that I can make for myself as an early leader. Like, I hired incredible people and then absolutely burned that talent because I didn't understand onboarding. I thought that if I just had the right person in the right role, and then they would just thrive, they would just succeed, they would just rise to the occasion, right? And again, statistics are in. Having a strong onboarding process, on average, increases employee retention by 3x and increases average productivity by 72%. So literally just pouring into that first 30-day process, you get these massive productivity and retention gains. And it's the same A player. It doesn't matter who you plug in the role. Going through that strong onboarding process will produce this higher result. And most small business owners, just because we don't have the time to learn how to onboard and to build this whole thing, we skip it. And what we're accidentally doing is creating this incredible person and setting them up for failure. So of course they leave, or of course you have to fire them because they don't meet your expectations, or they're not a culture fit, or any number of things that can happen. And that's not on them. That's on us because we didn't set proper expectations to begin with.
Yeah, it's funny. I think as a business owner, you're so worried about generating revenue, right? It's hey, how are we going to grow? How are we going to grow? And you realize the value of onboarding your customers, right?
Sure.
Like it's like, okay, I've made sales, that's working. Okay, onboarding. How do I help reduce churn, make this go?
Yeah.
And it's like, why can't I apply that same lens to my team, right? Like I know the value of my customer going through that onboarding experience, seeing them experience success with the product, the service, whatever it is, as fast as possible is really, really critical so that they'll stay here. Same thing with our team, right?
Like, and I would argue more important with your team because, right, why do we do client onboarding? It's to maximize LTV. How many clients will that team member touch? How many clients may stay or leave because that team member was set up for success or not? The potential LTV, like revenue generation of that person, that team member, is astronomically higher than any one client. And yet we pour into our clients at expense of our team and then wonder why our clients leave because our team is struggling to keep up, or wonder why we keep getting like sucked into the day-to-day weeds to save clients to make sure they don't leave because we didn't set our teams up correctly to begin with. So yeah, hiring absolutely essential, but onboarding in my experience is the single greatest differentiator because so many business owners skip it. It becomes your competitive advantage if you can do it well.